Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I found this up on top of a cupboard in an old suitcase, and I thought I'd share it with you because it's quite interesting. Some of you might find it interesting. Basically, it's a recording of a program put out in 2004 on BBC Radio for children. I was a senior teacher and English coordinator at Islamia School at the time, and we were approached by the BBC to help with writing a script for children about Prophet Muhammad. So yes, I wrote the script, and they sent me a CD of the recording. Of course, the actual thing went out in 2004. I thought it was all lost, but I found it up in a cupboard, so up on top of a cupboard, so I thought I'd share it anyway. You might find it interesting, you might not. Assalamu alaikum.
Together.
Time for Together with Loretto Murray.
Hello everybody, it's Loretto here. We're thinking again today about the way we communicate and get the message. For example, I received a postcard the other day from a friend on holiday in Spain. It said, "Having a lovely time, sea and sand wonderful, sun hot. Love to you, and please send my love to your family, Angela." Well, this wasn't just a message for me. I had to pass a message on to my family too, so I made sure I did. Well, that got me thinking about important messages, the type which must be passed on. Like when a signaller sends a message to tell a train driver there's something blocking the tracks. Well, whatever happens, the messenger must do their job. It's quite a responsibility. So, imagine if you were sent a message that was so amazing you could hardly believe you'd heard it. And then on top of that, you feel you have to tell everyone, yes, everyone, all about it. That's what happened to the Muslim prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Muslims say that after his name because he was such an important messenger. And the message? Well, let's find out.
There was once a man called Muhammad who lived a long time ago. In fact, nearly 1,500 years ago, in a town called Mecca. He was a good and kind man who loved God very much. He loved his people very much too, but he felt very unhappy because they had forgotten about God and had started praying to statues and idols instead. One day, Muhammad decided he wanted to get away from Mecca and find somewhere alone to think. He wanted to get away from the hustle and the bustle of the Kaaba, the place Abraham had built for the worship of God, but now full of idols. He wanted to get away from the noisy marketplaces and the busy streets around the city. So he said goodbye to his wife Khadija and set off to walk up into the mountains. He knew there was a cave up there where he could be alone, where he could think. He had been to this cave many times before and stayed up there for days, even weeks. When Muhammad got to the cave, he began to pray. He prayed for his people and asked God to show him how to help them. Muhammad prayed for a long time and became sleepy. So he spread out his cloak and lay down to rest. Soon he fell fast asleep. But as he lay alone in the dark, something came into the cave without a sound. It was an angel who had come to wake Muhammad and bring him special words from God. The angel came quietly closer as Muhammad slept, then suddenly cried out, "Read!" Muhammad woke up frightened and startled. "I cannot read," he replied. The angel grabbed Muhammad and pressed down on him until Muhammad could hardly breathe. Then he let him go and said again, even louder, "Read!" Muhammad was feeling dazed and confused and repeated, "I cannot read." Instead of replying, the angel simply grabbed hold of him a second time and squeezed him even tighter until Muhammad thought he was going to die. "Read!" insisted the angel. "I cannot read," said Muhammad. For a third time, the angel grabbed Muhammad and squeezed him so tightly that Muhammad thought this was the end. But again he let him go, demanding, "Read!" This time Muhammad, fearing for his life, said, "What shall I read?" The angel paused and began to say, "Read in the name of your Lord who created man from a drop of blood. Read, your Lord is most kind, who taught by the pen, taught man things he didn't know." Muhammad began to say the words, hoping the angel would leave him alone. Sure enough, when he finished, the angel turned and went out of the cave. But the words were still ringing in Muhammad's ears. He could still hear them, still see them, as though they were written on his heart. Muhammad was upset and frightened. He had seen people in Mecca who said they had messages from spirits. He didn't like these people. He knew they were just clever poets or magicians. Now he was afraid that his people would say the same about him. Or worse still, they would say he was crazy. "I won't let them say that about me," said Muhammad. "I'll go to the top of the mountain and throw myself down and kill myself and be at peace." So Muhammad left the cave and began climbing up. But as he got halfway, he heard a voice coming from the sky saying, "O Muhammad, you are the prophet of God, and I am the angel Gabriel." Muhammad looked up to see who was speaking and saw an incredible sight. There in front of him was the angel in the shape of a man, standing like a huge giant with his feet astride across the horizon. "O Muhammad," boomed the voice again, "you are the prophet of God, and I am the angel Gabriel." Muhammad froze in his tracks and stared, barely able to believe what he was seeing. He tried to turn his face away, but no matter which direction he faced, there was the angel standing across the horizon. How long Muhammad stayed stuck to that spot is not known, but he stayed there until the angel finally left. Then he made his way slowly back down the mountain and returned to his wife Khadija. "Wrap me up, said Muhammad as he came in shaking and trembling and sat by his wife Khadija's side. "I'm afraid I am mad or possessed by spirits," he said, clinging onto her lap. Khadija wrapped him up in a blanket and comforted him, telling him not to worry or to be frightened. She knew her husband was a good and kind-hearted man, and she knew that God would never hurt him or allow him to go astray. "God will never shame you," she said. "He knows your good character, that you are truthful and trustworthy, patient and generous. You give to the poor and defend people's rights." These words made Muhammad feel better, and so he told her what he had seen. "Be happy and glad," said Khadija when she heard what he had to say. "I pray to God that you will be the prophet of this people." Khadija then suggested that they go and visit her cousin Waraqah, who was very wise and had studied many religious books. When they told Waraqah what Muhammad had seen, he cried, "This is a message from God, and you are a prophet of God." Muhammad was 40 years old when this happened, and for the next 23 years he continued to get regular visits from the angel Gabriel, who brought him more and more words from God. Muhammad was ordered to teach these words to his people, so that they would know about God and worship him in the right way. Say God is one. He lives forever. He has no mother or father, and does not have children. There is nothing like him. Muhammad passed on these words to his followers, who learnt them by heart and wrote them down. They were collected into a book, and later many copies were made. This book is called the Quran. Today there are millions of copies of the Quran all around the world, so that Muslims everywhere can read and learn the words of God.
Now that's what I call a message. I wonder if you've ever seen a Quran. It's written in Arabic because that was the language Muhammad spoke, and very often each page will have a patterned border and might be decorated with calligraphy, a very beautiful way of writing letters and words. And what does Quran mean? Well, it comes from the word Iqra, which means read, which is exactly what Muhammad was told to do. Here are some children from the Islamia School, a Muslim school in North London, to tell us some more.
We have been learning the Quran for mainly our whole lives since we are able to learn how to read. I was taught by my parents and my teachers at school.
It was difficult for me because Arabic isn't my first language. I speak English at home.
The first thing I learned was Arabic, to learn the Quran.
First thing you have to learn is the alphabet, and you have to learn how to pronounce the letters. Alif, Ba, Ta, Tha, Jim, Ha, Kha, Dal, Zal and Ra.
When I was born, my mum's friend bought my mum a Quran to recite to me every day.
I was given a copy of the Quran when I was very small. I wanted to know the meaning of it, and my mum's friend, she got a copy with the English translation in it, and I was able to learn loads of stories from it.
It's important to learn the Quran because it can help you in the future. It can give you some information about how to live a good life.
A surah is something which the Quran is divided into, and it has different stories about the prophets and things that happened in the past.
My favourite surah in the Quran is Iqra because it's the first surah that went to the Prophet. It also tells us feelings that the Prophet had when he first received the surah.
My favourite surah in the Quran is Surah Qul Huwallahu Ahad, and it describes God to me. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. It means that God is the only one. He has no parents, he has no ascendants or descendants, and he created everything.
We always have to wash our hands because it's Allah's words. I would wash myself and then I would pick up the Quran and then recite it nicely.
There are some people who know the whole Quran by heart. They are called Hafiz. I would like to be a Hafiz. I think it will take around more than 3 to 4 years.
When I'm older, I'd love to become a Hafiz of the Quran and teach other people to become a Hafiz of the Quran as well.
Thanks to the children from the Islamia School, the Quran is obviously very important to them. One of the people who set up their school was once a famous pop star. He was called Cat Stevens before he became a Muslim and changed his name to Yusuf Islam. Islam is actually the name for the Muslim religion, and it means peace in Arabic. Now, one of the songs which made Yusuf famous was called Peace Train, and he's just re-recorded it. So let's hear it today, and we'll make it a time to think as well. There's a chorus which includes the words, "Someday it's going to come take me home again, come on peace train." I'm sure you'll be able to join in.
I've been happy lately, thinking about the good things to come, and I believe it could be something good has begun. Well, I've been smiling lately, dreaming about the world as one, and I believe it could be someday it's going to come. Someday it's going to come take me home again. Come on the peace train. Someday it's going to come on the peace train. Take me home again. Is out on the edge of darkness, there rides the peace train. Oh, peace train, take this country, come take me home again. I've been smiling lately, dreaming about the world as one, and I believe it could be someday it's going to come. Someday it's going to come take me home again. Come on, this train. Someday it's going to come. Come on, this train. Take me home again.
Well, that's all there's time for today. Thanks to Hassan Radwan for writing our story and to Rashid Sabitri for reading it. Also to the children of the Islamia School. From me, Loretta Murray, and my producer, Joe Dakin. Bye!
Come on, peace train. Peace be with all of you. Assalamu alaikum.